Hello, I'm Dr. Jeff Kingsley. Welcome to another edition of Riding in Cars with Researchers. We're continuing our conversation on technology and the benefits to sites and the industry with the use of technology. Today we're going to talk about electronic regulatory documentation. So what is regulatory in our world? Your regulatory documents include the principal investigator's medical license, the principal investigator's CV or resume. Importantly, in the US, FDA Form 1572, where the investigator is saying, I'm taking complete responsibility for what happens at my site. There's a delegation of authority log where that investigator is saying, I'm delegating authority to my other colleagues here in the office to be able to do physical exams for me, or to be able to review labs for me, or maybe do pulmonary function testing for me. Delegation of authority log should be backed up with evidence that the people being delegated to have appropriate education, training, schooling, to be able to perform those functions. And then there's more in that regulatory binder. Most regulatory binders today are paper. It's pieces of paper in a 3-ring binder that documents all of this. Now, why is that an issue? Well, as always, it's too easy to make mistakes. Think about that delegation of authority log. It's very easy for me to delegate authority for somebody to do pulmonary function testing without any documentation that that person has adequate experience to do accurate pulmonary function testing. If the person really doesn't have adequate experience, I shouldn't be allowed to delegate authority to that person to do that function. Now, on paper, very easy to do, very easy to make mistakes. Another example where it's easy to make mistakes. I can have a physician on a research trial whose medical license expired March 31st of this year. And it's May, and somebody looks in that regulatory binder and there's no accurate medical license for that doctor. Most often, the doctor did renew their medical license, but we didn't put a copy of it in that regulatory binder. So pretty easy to fix. But what if? What if the doctor actually overlooked renewing their medical license? And for 2 months, that doctor was performing research without a medical license to do so. That would be a huge deal. And on paper, that's the kind of error that could happen. There wouldn't be much to stop that kind of error. Electronic regulatory binders prevent that. How? In an electronic format, if my medical license is expiring, that computer system is screaming at me. I'm getting emails, text messages. People in the office are getting emails, text messages. Dr. Kingsley's medical license is expiring next month. You can program it for whatever. You can program it to start warning you 2 months in advance and accelerate the warnings until such time as we update the medical license. Delegation of authority. Anybody that I delegate authority to do different functions should have backup supporting material of their experience, their training, proof that they can do what I delegated authority for them to do. Could be in the form of a nursing license, a medical license, certifications, prior testings proving this person can do those functions. Electronic regulatory documents enable us to do all of those things. And what's the big benefit? Efficiency and quality. In my opinion, the number one benefit is quality. I'm all about improving the quality of research. Electronic regulatory binders that have some intelligence behind them dramatically improve the quality of the regulatory documentation support of the research trial that we are conducting. They also improve the efficiency. We're not running around trying to find documentation that on paper could be misplaced. Somebody could have opened that 3-ring binder and paper fell out and scattered all over the floor. Electronic documentation dramatically improves the efficiency. Who's the real beneficiary? The sponsors. The sponsors are the real beneficiary. of a site's investment into electronic regulatory documentation. And how does the industry need to respond? It's a virtuous cycle. The industry needs to say, sites that invest in infrastructure that dramatically improve quality and efficiency and ultimately benefit us as sponsors, we will preferentially want those sites on our trials, and we will compensate those sites for that investment that they made to benefit us on our trial. We will compensate those sites monetarily in their budgets for the fact that the site had to spend money to implement that electronic system, and ongoing money to implement and maintain that electronic system. If sponsors are willing to compensate sites in the form of study awards and contract and budget terms, more sites will then implement the electronic regulatory systems. Virtuous cycle. That's where the industry needs to get. We need to get to the point that sites are elevating their performance, professionalism, professionalization of our industry. I believe it's mandatory that sites start working on electronic platforms that improve quality and efficiency, but sponsors need to recognize the investment and compensate appropriately, and sponsors need to incentivize sites to then raise the bar and be competitive with the sites that have made that infrastructure investment. Thank you very much. As always, I appreciate you riding along. Follow us on LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. I look forward to riding along with you again. Take care.